The sun hung like a burning coin in the sky over the Serengeti, turning the earth into a cracked, thirsty wasteland. Rivers that once roared with life were now just dusty scars in the dirt. Trees stood like skeletons, their leaves long gone. And in the middle of this brutal drought, a lioness named Asha fought every day to keep her two cubs alive. She was fierce, a queen of the savannah, but even queens can't fight hunger forever. Her ribs pressed against her golden coat, and her cubs, tiny, fragile things, were weakening by the hour. The pride had scattered, some lions too exhausted to hunt, others lost to thirst. Asha had no choice but to keep moving, keep searching, even as her own body screamed for rest. Then, disaster struck. One wrong step, just one, and a cruel metal snare snapped around her leg. Pain shot through her like fire. She roared, a sound that shook the dry air, but there was no one to hear her except her cubs, who whimpered nearby, too weak to help. The more she struggled, the tighter the wire bit into her flesh. Blood dripped onto the cracked earth. And worst of all, she wasn't alone. Poachers. Somewhere in the distance, men with guns lurked, waiting for the trap to do its work. They didn't care about her cubs. They didn't care about the balance of life. All they saw was profit, a lion's bones, her teeth, her skin. Asha's breath came in ragged gasps. She had to get free. She had to protect her babies. But the snare held her like a chain. Just when hope seemed lost, the roar of an engine cut through the silence. A rugged jeep skidded to a stop nearby, kicking up dust. Out jumped 3 humans, but these weren't poachers. These were saviors. First, there was Dr. Niambeki, a wildlife vet with hands that had healed hundreds of animals. She moved fast, her eyes locked on Asha. "She's in bad shape," Nia muttered, grabbing her dart gun. "But we've got her." Beside her was Jabari, a tracker who knew the land like the back of his hand. He scanned the area, his sharp eyes spotting more hidden traps. "Poachers were here," he growled. "We need to clear this whole zone." And then there was Lena, an anti-poaching ranger with a rifle slung over her shoulder. She wasn't here to shoot, she was here to protect. "I'll keep watch," she said, her voice steady. "If those poachers come back, they'll regret it." Nia didn't waste time. She raised her dart gun, took a deep breath, and fired. A small thwip sounded, and a tranquilizer dart hit Asha's shoulder. The lioness snarled, her golden eyes blazing with defiance, but then, slowly, her muscles relaxed. She slumped to the ground, still breathing, but unconscious. Jabari rushed forward, wire cutters in hand. The snare was tight, biting deep into Asha's leg. One wrong move, and she could lose it. But Jabari worked like a surgeon, carefully snipping the metal until, snap, the trap fell away. Meanwhile, Nia turned her attention to the cubs. They were trembling, their tiny bodies weak from hunger and fear. She pulled out a bottle of electrolyte fluid, gently coaxing them to drink. At first, they shied away, but then, one brave cub took a sip. Then another. Their little tails flicked with relief. Lena stood guard, her eyes scanning the horizon. She knew poachers were cowards, they wouldn't risk a fight with armed rangers. But she wasn't taking chances. Every rustle in the grass made her grip her rifle tighter. Asha began to wake. Her massive body stirred, her breath coming in slow, deep waves. Nia held her breath. A sedated lioness waking up could be dangerous, but Asha didn't lash out. Instead, she blinked, her golden eyes meeting Nia's. And in that moment, something incredible happened. Asha didn't growl. She didn't snarl. She just looked at Nia. As if she knew. Then, slowly, weakly, she turned her head and nudged her cubs toward the humans. It wasn't a threat, it was a plea. "Help them." Nia's throat tightened. She'd seen animals in pain before, but this was different. This was trust. The team worked fast. Nia cleaned Asha's wounds, stitching the deep cuts where the snare had bitten into her flesh. Jabari scoured the area, disabling every hidden trap he could find. And Lena kept watch, making sure no danger crept up on them. By the time the sun began to dip below the horizon, Asha was standing again, shaky, but alive. Her cubs pressed close to her, their bellies full for the first time in weeks. Nia stepped back, her heart pounding. "That's it, girl," she whispered. "You're free." Asha took one last look at the humans who had saved her. Then, with a flick of her tail, she turned and led her cubs into the tall grass, back to the wild where she belonged. Weeks later, the rains finally returned to the Serengeti. The land turned green again, rivers swelled, and life came back in full force. And Asha? She thrived. Rangers spotted her months later, her leg healed, her cubs grown. She stood atop a rocky outcrop, surveying her kingdom with the same fierce pride she'd always had. But now, she was more than just a survivor. She was a legend. And somewhere out there, Nia, Jabari, and Lena smiled, knowing they'd played a part in her story. Because in the end, this wasn't just a rescue. It was a promise, that as long as there are humans willing to fight for them, creatures like Asha will always have a chance. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to support our channel. See you in the next episode, stay tuned.